Greetings everyone, Joseph James here with your nightly newsletter, brought to you by theschooloftrade.com. Today was August 12th, 2009. FOMC day was today. And of course, we had a relatively uneventful morning in the market this morning as we make our way through the month of August. I want to remind you guys we have a free resource online on our YouTube page, youtube.com/School of Trade. Please take a moment and rate and comment on those videos, guys, when you visit our YouTube page. No trades taken today. That brings our weekly total to $100 here. Our monthly total month of August to just over $1,100 here USD on 4 contracts. Now for today's video, rather than of course go over the market we saw today, we didn't take any trades. I'd like to talk about a topic that is a very popular topic among traders, and of course if you're a day trader and you're also a gambler, you may have seen similarities between day trading and gambling. So whether it be the roulette wheel or the casino games, the slot machines, or playing blackjack or poker, I wanted to discuss some of the similarities and the differences between poker and day trading. Before we start, let's define what is gambling. Well, now we all know what day trading is. Hopefully you've watched enough of these videos, you know exactly what day trading is. But what is gambling? Well, some dictionary definitions of actually what gambling is defined as is it's the act of playing for the stakes in hoping of winning something, including the payment of a price for a chance to win a prize. Okay, so gambling is the act of playing for stakes in the hope of winning. Right, to play a game for money or for property, right, to bet on an uncertain outcome. Now that's going to be a very key word there, uncertain outcome. Also gambling is to take a stake in something on a contingency, right, to take a chance. So it's ultimately playing a game of some sorts with an uncertain outcome for some sort of benefit, whether it be money or property or some sort of chance to do something. So now, what are some similarities between day trading and poker? Well, some very obvious similarities are they both have an uncertain outcome. There's that term again, uncertain outcome. Very important we remember that term. Right? Both, of course, allow you're free to avoid the market at no risk, right? You could of course avoid playing a hand of poker by simply staying in the sidelines. So you can avoid any risk by staying out of the game or staying out of the market. You, of course, can also read your opponents. Of course, in day trading, we use the time and sales window. We read our opponents by looking at how they're trading. And of course, in a poker game, you can read your opponents by simply looking across the table. Also, day trading allows you to control your risk with stops and targets. Right? We, of course, can control how much risk we have on each trade by using stop losses and profit targets. As a poker player, we control our risk with our money management. Right? We control how much we can lose by simply how much we put into the pot. So as you can see, there are quite a few similarities between a day trader and a poker player. But there tend to be fewer similarities and more differences. Now let's look at some serious differences between day trading and being a poker player. Now the first difference is that the number of opponents are virtually unknown to us as day traders. We really don't have a good handle on how many opponents we have. Whereas a poker player, you can clearly tell how many people you're playing against. Now as a day trader, we have no control once we initiate a trade. Once I execute a trade, I really can't do much else besides get out of that trade. I can't influence the market once that's done. As a poker player, I can actually influence what's going on at the table by making small gestures or maybe betting a lot larger, right? In other words, I can influence the other people just by simply mixing with the other personalities at the table. As a day trader, right, there's only really one option. I can open and close a position. Right? There's only one way for me to initiate or to end the game, the trade. As a poker player, I really can finish the game without ever doing anything, right? So other players could fold their hands, which of course would end the game for me. So I don't have full control over when the game starts and stops. As a day trader, I have ultimately no predefined time limits. I can stay in a trade all day long if I want, or I can get in and get out. In poker, there are very well-defined time limits. When everybody else folds, the game is over. Right? There basically is a limit to the boundaries of the game. Now, as a day trader, I can of course get out of the market early for potential profit. As a poker player, the only way that I can really get out of a game early is to take a loss. Okay, if I fold early, I'm going to lose my money that I've put into the pot. As a day trader, my profit and loss statement will fluctuate throughout the trade, right? As price continues to move, so will how much money I'm winning or losing. Okay, so profit and loss on the trade will fluctuate pretty dramatically. As a poker player, there's not going to be so much of a large fluctuation, right? The only increase of risk that you'll see is how much money you put in the pot. Okay, so you're not going to see that very dynamic, intense fluctuation of how much money you're making on each trade or in each hand of poker. And of course, in day trading, we have predefined profit targets and stops ahead of time. So before we get into a trade, we will of course predefine where our profit targets are and where our stops are. Of course, kind of planning out the trade ahead. Now, as a poker player, it's very difficult to predict the future. Right? I have a very hard time as a poker player trying to predict or anticipate how much I'm going to make on a potential hand. I, of course, can control how much I put in the pot, but I can't control what other players will put in. So the amount of money that I can make on a hand of poker is virtually very difficult to predict ahead of time, whereas on a trade, it can be very well defined. So as you can see, there are quite a few differences here between a day trader and a poker player. Now, I want to go over what our term of the day here is, and that is uncertain outcome. Remember that term we decided earlier was a very important term, uncertain outcome? Now, uncertain outcome is important because this is the one major similarity that poker players have with day traders. And it's this one similarity that enables us to make consistent income in the markets we trade, or at a poker table at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas while you're on vacation. Now, poker and day trading, right? They both have these uncertain outcomes. We both have the ability to manage our risk and anticipate profits. We both have the ability to find an advantage and to put that advantage to work for us. So as you know, once you find your advantage, whether you walk into a casino or whether you're placing a trade, once you find that advantage, you use that advantage, and of course, in a poker player environment, to take down the house. Find the advantage and use that to exploit the weaknesses of the house. Of course, patience and discipline are requirements for both being a day trader and a poker player. If you want to make long-term success in either one of these, you've got to find patience and discipline, not to give back the money or take on too much risk. Now, you can find this advantage, right? The ability to find that advantage and then put the odds of winning in your favor. How do we do that? Well, it's very simple. Now, of course, I didn't say easy. It's very simple. And the answer is with consistency. Whether or not you're playing a hand of poker or you're taking your chances with a day trading system, right? You're buying or selling futures contracts. Consistency is going to help you identify that advantage. And once you find that advantage, then you can go in and take down the house. All right, guys, so I hope today's video has helped compare some similarities with gambling and, of course, day trading. I want to remind you guys, we have a live trade room opens up tomorrow morning at 2:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, so come out and join us. We'll trade 8 different markets, live trade calls with targets and stops. We'll show you how we manage our trades. There'll be plenty of opportunities for questions, and of course, come see the market in a completely different way, free for 3 weeks. I want to remind you guys, the beginner's course is highly recommended for all free trial members. And guys, when you go to that free resource online at YouTube, go to our YouTube page and please take a moment to rate and comment on those videos. Drop us a line for more information on our lifetime membership at sales@schooloftrade.com. And as always, my name is Joseph James. Hope the video helps. We'll see you next time, guys.